So this is the part of the show, if you consider these videos I do put together a show, it's part of the show where people tune out. They really shouldn't. The NHL has spent years making money off guys that are concussed. And as crazy as I may look for stating that I think Sidney Crosby should have been out longer than he was, the fact of the matter is the NHL's got a history of doing this, which is why there's a lawsuit. Now, there's been an event in this lawsuit, which is why I'm doing another video. Policies of National Hockey League teams regarding prescription of drugs such as anti-inflammatories, sleep aids, and controlled substances such as painkillers to players may soon come under scrutiny in a U.S. court as part of a lawsuit involving concussions. According to a transcript of a May 12th U.S. federal court hearing in Minneapolis, lawyers for plaintiffs in the NHL concussion lawsuit asked the league on April 27th to produce records related to the administration of drugs. Elaborating on the transcript, a lawyer working with the plaintiffs told TSN they're pursuing copies of league and team drug policies and protocols, as well as records related to drugs and dosage levels prescribed to individual players. The lawyer said if the plaintiffs are able to obtain specific player records, identifying information would have to be redacted before they could be used in court. The NHL maintains that it shouldn't have to produce records related to drug prescription, arguing that they aren't pertinent to the issue of brain injuries and concussions. An NHL spokesman did not respond to an email seeking comment. Of course they're pertinent. If I go to a team doctor and I say, I can't sleep at night, I'm having headaches, sleep aids. And what they're trying to do, okay, what the plaintiffs are trying to do here is show a pattern. It is a pattern of treating players like they're commodities, like they are owned by the team, and that's old school. And again, and I hate to say this, but last week at work, I was talking to a friend of mine about Bobby Clark and Eric Lindros. And we discussed how Bobby Clark always complained that Lindros' dad meddled a lot. And for a grown man, his dad sure gets involved a lot, and it's embarrassing. Maybe he perceived that the Flyers weren't looking out for his son's health. Sure, maybe in the beginning it was meddling. But maybe by the end, maybe he had a reason to be meddling. Does anybody really put it past hockey in the 90s? I'm not talking about now, I'm talking about in the 90s. From having a guy get up really, really out of it from a concussion, from a hit. And the coach saying, all right, shake it off, get back out there. You're not physically hurt. Get back out there. I feel dizzy. It'll pass. Get back out there. We got to win this game. This is a big game. Playoffs? Absolutely. I do think that mentality is still there. There was an incident in Game 4 where Ryan Getzlaf threw a homophobic slur at a referee. That vicious F word. That was extremely common in sports 20 years ago. And now it's a $10,000 fine and everybody makes a big deal about it. And the sad part is, it's being portrayed in some circles as if that shows that NHL culture is bad and there's an anti-gay culture. Hey, if only one guy has said that word on the ice this year, that's a massive step forward from when I played floor hockey. It was a common thing you threw at a guy because it just got thrown around. It got thrown around in the schoolyard. It was the common go-to phrase. It wasn't meant homophobic term. It was just bad as a term. It was just something you threw at somebody. And, it doesn't get thrown around now. I wouldn't say it now. I don't say it anymore. But, back then. So I think the fact that the NHL takes this seriously shows it can learn. So show you can learn with concussions. Show you care. The thing for me is anytime that you hear a court case where somebody says, we'd like to see the records of this to verify what happened with this. If the defendant says, I don't think you need to see those. Well, the NHL said that with the emails. Well, we don't think we have to give up the emails because they'll hurt the league. They'll damage the league. Oh, they damaged the league. They made it clear that doctors for teams were under strict orders to make sure that their players were good to go, and that anybody who complained about the league where it came to concussions, Kerry Fraser being a former referee, they were kind of nudged in the direction of not complaining anymore. It'd be a shame if something happened to your pension. So now, if the league is willing to threaten a guy's pension, threaten a guy's living after he's retired from the sport, what's to stop the guys who are playing the sport from being threatened in terms of, okay, again, I'll go back to Lindros. Bobby, I want to play. I want to play. I desperately want to play. But I can't shake the headaches. You know what, Eric? I hear you. I hear you. But, we've got a team out there. Physically, you're fine. Knees are fine. Shoulders are fine. You're a big strapping kid. I just saw you in the gym today on the bike, and you look fine out there to me. Why don't you just go to the doc there, get yourself some pills so you can sleep at night, maybe get some muscle relaxants and what you need, and then come game time, we'll see if you're good to go. And then maybe, a week later, Clark's going to him going, geez, we've got you on these pills. We've been playing ball with you, but can you play ball with us here a little bit? Come on, just, I saw you skating around there today in practice. You looked okay. It's that kind of pressure that I can totally see. And I'm using Clark and Lindros just because it's the easy one. Not using that as, oh, this is what happened. Just I can see that kind of interaction between a GM and a player or a coach and player. Although it's tougher with a coach. Coaches are usually less removed from the game than Bobby Clark was as a GM. It's unusual for GMs to just jump into the GM role like Gar Snow did. Usually they're older, they've been away from the game longer, or they were never NHL players. It's a whole different dynamic being the GM over being the coach. And for Clark, I mean, he played on the Broad Street Bullies. They played through everything. There was no such thing as, oh, my head hurts, I'm not going to play. Famously, Reggie Leach played drunk in the Stanley Cup playoffs and had a great game while he was drunk off his ass. And they thought it was hilarious. They had fun with it. And now that would be a huge scandal. Well, concussions in the NHL are a huge scandal. And I'm telling you, I really think the NHL is going to be made to hand over these drug records. Because there is plenty of information in there. And I think where the NHL is concerned is this. The NHL might say, well, there's no smoking gun in here about concussions per se, but boy, it's going to show just how many drugs we pump these kids full of. And then they're forced out of the league and they're all drug dependent. We don't want people to know that. It's not a coincidence. Painkillers are a very common addiction. They've taken over from the hard drugs because they're perceived as, well, they're legal, so they can't really hurt me. And yet the dependence and some of the side effects absolutely hurt people. There was a time in history where heroin was a legal drug, cocaine was a legal drug. That's where coke got its name from. It's not in there now. If it was, I'd be far more energetic in my videos. But times have to change. And the NHL has to change with them. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And again, I know these videos don't get a lot of attention compared to the other stuff I post, which I think is kind of a shame. But at the same time, when this case comes to a close, there will be a number of videos on this channel where I have chronicled what's happening the whole way along in this trial. So when something happens, and if this class action lawsuit's successful, and suddenly fans stand up and go, wait a minute, what? I'll have a number of videos I can look at and say, here's what happened. Just watch this playlist from start to finish. I'm definitely going to put together a playlist for this because it's important. As much fun as watching these guys play is, finding out what happens when they don't play anymore is just as important. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all again soon.